As they say on Earth, here's looking at you, kid.
Welcome to Olden Goldens, where we delve into surprising, little-known stories about the beauty icons of the 60s and 70s. Legendary actresses like Barbara Bach and Raquel Welch once captivated audiences with their stunning looks and undeniable charm. Are you ready to see what they look like today? Some transformations are truly astonishing, revealing changes no one could have predicted. Join us as we uncover the current appearances of 10 iconic stars. You'll be amazed not only by how they've changed, but also by the fascinating stories behind the glamour. Brigitte Bardot. The singer, actress, and animal rights activist was born Brigitte Anne-Marie Bardot on September the 28th, 1934 in France. She captured the imagination of fans with her debut in 1952's Le Trot Normand. Between that and 1973's The Edifying and Joyous Story of Collineau, she appeared in dozens of French-language films. Although she starred in 15 movies before it, the one that is credited with establishing her as a star, as well as a sex kitten, was 1956's And God Created Women, directed by then-husband Roger Vadim. While her greatest success was in Europe, Brigitte was nonetheless embraced as a sex symbol in America as well, many of her films being dubbed in English. One of the most intriguing was her starring in the 1968 Western Shalako, alongside Sean Connery, who at the time was trying to break away from his image as James Bond. In addition to acting, Brigitte recorded over a dozen albums and wrote 5 books, including her 1996 autobiography, Initial BB Memoirs. She announced her retirement from show business in 1973, and in 1986 formed the Brigitte Bardot Foundation, which is devoted to the welfare and protection of animals. In her private life, she has been married 4 times, is the mother of Nicolas Jacques Charrier, and is a breast cancer survivor. She is 89. Ursula Andress. Ursula Andress, stepping out of the water in a bikini in the first James Bond movie, Dr. No, created a classic, iconic cinematic moment that few have been able to touch. And it's also the image you're likely to see whenever somebody talks about the Swiss actress. Born March 19, 1936, when she was at a party, she met a producer who offered her a screen test, which led to a part in the 1955 Italian film The Sins of Casanova. After a few more films, she was convinced to give Hollywood a shot. She made her American debut in a 1962 episode of Thriller, starring alongside Alejandro Rey. That same year, she played Honey Rider in Dr. No and became an instant star, though one hindrance was the fact that despite speaking 3 languages, English was not among them, often resulting in her voice being dubbed. Hollywood and the audience didn't seem to mind. In 1963, she co-starred with Elvis in Fun in Acapulco and with Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra in 4 for Texas. For a time, Ursula's stardom continued, co-starring with George Peppard in The Blue Max, Peter Sellers in the James Bond spoof Casino Royale, Charles Bronson in Red Sun, The Sensuous Nurse, and The Fantasy Clash of the Titans. After that, there were some TV guest appearances and her return to Italian films. She's been married 4 times and has 1 child. She's 88, Shirley Eaton. There is simply no way to look back at the fabulous stars of the 1960s and not single out most of the actresses who were cast as Bond girls. Ursula Andress from Dr. No was profiled earlier, and Shirley Eaton, who portrayed Jill Masterson in the 3rd 007 film, Goldfinger is Above. She's the one who, after cheating on the bad guy with Bond, is killed and covered head to toe in gold paint. Born January 12, 1937 in England, Shirley was actually a singing star on British television and the stage throughout the 1950s, shows headlined by her. She starred in a number of films, including 3 Men in a Boat, 1956, and The Girl Hunters, 1963, in which author Mickey Spillane played his own character, Mike Hammer. Surprisingly, Shirley only made 7 more movies after Goldfinger, from 1965's The Naked Brigade to 1969's The Girl from Rio. She was married to Colin Rowe from 1957 until his death in 1994. She has 2 children and is 87. Mia Farrow. You know, there's more to Mia Farrow than the seemingly endless battles and accusations between her and her ex, Woody Allen. A former fashion model, besides being an actress, she's an activist and has served as a goodwill ambassador for UNICEF. She was born Maria de Lourdes Villiers Mia Farrow on February 9, 1945 in Los Angeles. The first project that Mia was involved with that caught on with the public was the ABC primetime soap opera Peyton Place, which was so popular for a time that it was actually aired as 3 half-hour installments a week. The show ran from 1964 to 1969, and the actress, who portrayed Allison Mackenzie, was a part of it from the beginning. However, she married Frank Sinatra in 1966, and he apparently didn't like the fact that her focus was anywhere but on him, and insisted that she quit that same year. For the record, their marriage ended in 1968. Taking the lead role in 1968's Rosemary's Baby, Mia Farrow found herself a genuine movie star. The film, especially for its time, was a pretty terrifying exercise about a woman who finds herself impregnated with Satan's offspring and surrounded by members of a satanic cult. Sounds like an old hat now, but it wasn't then and is still effective today. From there, she would shift back and forth between film, TV, and stage performances, many of them highly acclaimed. A romantic relationship with Woody Allen led to her starring in many of his films throughout the 80s and early 90s. In her personal life, after her marriage with Frank Sinatra ended, she married composer and conductor Andre Previn in 1970, though they divorced 9 years later. Her relationship with Allen went from 1980 to 1992, when she discovered he was involved in a relationship with her then 22-year-old adopted daughter, Soon-Yi Previn. Not a good situation. Mia, 79, has 4 biological children and 9 adopted. Barbara Eden. From singing in her church choir to studying theater, becoming Miss San Francisco in 1951, and 4 years later becoming a semi-regular on The Johnny Carson Show, followed by numerous TV guest star appearances, a starring role in 1, and nearly 20 feature films to her credit, Barbara Eden brought a wealth of experience to the table when she was cast along with Larry Hagman in I Dream of Jeannie. In 1965, with A Dream of Jeannie ending its run in 1970, Barbara never stopped moving. She starred in a wide variety of mostly dramatic TV movies and a few feature films, including 1978's Harper Valley PTA, which spawned her 1981 to 1982 TV series version. She also hit the stage in many productions, most notably in the national production of the musical comedy Woman of the Year in 1984, and from 2000 to 2004, the national touring production of Neil Simon's The Odd Couple, the female version, in which she played Florence Unger opposite Rita McKenzie's Olive Madison. And she recorded 2 albums. Through it all, she always embraced her legacy as Jeannie, even going so far as celebrating her 85th birthday by donning her old costume for a public event. That's somebody who loves her character. Barbara was born Barbara Jean Moorhead on August 23, 1931 in Tucson, Arizona. She's been married 3 times, to actor Michael Ansara from 1958 until their divorce in 1974, Charles Fager from 1977 to their divorce in 1982, and John Eichholtz beginning in 1981. With Ansara, she had 1 son, Richard, who tragically died of a drug overdose in 2001. Barbara is 92. Yvonne Craig. No matter what she did before and after, actress Yvonne Craig will always be famous for bringing the character of Batgirl to life on the Adam West Batman TV show of the 1960s. Born May 16, 1937 in Taylorville, Illinois, she began her professional life with dreams of being a ballerina. But when she moved to Los Angeles to pursue it further, she found herself cast in film roles instead. Yvonne made her movie debut in 1957's 18 and Anxious, followed by such titles as Gidget, the Elvis films that happened at the World's Fair and Kissin' Cousins in Lake Flint, and Don Knotts' How to Frame a Fig. During those years, she made many television appearances, including Perry Mason, The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis, 77 Sunset Strip, TV westerns, Laramie and Death Valley Days, My Favorite Martian, and My 3 Sons. With ratings starting to decline on what had been one of the hottest shows of the 1960s, Yvonne was brought in to bring the character of Barbara Gordon to life, with everyone being unaware of the fact that she has also assumed the role of Batgirl. Needless to say, as evident in the photo below, she brought something to the show that, frankly, neither Adam West nor Burt Ward could. Sadly, her casting did not do the trick in terms of ratings, and the show was canceled after its 3rd season. Following Batman, Yvonne began making guest appearances again, including the original Star Trek as a green-skinned Orion slave girl. With roles slowing down, she switched over to real estate for a number of years. Additionally, she participated in a Batman television reunion in the 1990s with West, Ward, and Julie Newmar, who played Catwoman on the show, and she wrote her autobiography, From Ballet to the Batcave and Beyond, which was published in 2000. Sadly, Yvonne, who was married twice, died on August 17, 2015 of metastatic breast cancer that had spread to her liver. Audrey Hepburn. She was born Audrey Kathleen Rustin on May 4, 1929 in Belgium. All told, Audrey Hepburn had a pretty remarkable life. She worked as a part of the Dutch resistance against the Nazis during World War II, spent some time as a ballerina and dancer, but then had to go to work as a cook and housekeeper to help raise money for her family, who had lost their fortune during the war. Realizing she could earn more money acting, that became her focus. Audrey would star in the Broadway stage version of Gigi from 1951 to 1952, but not the 1958 film. Her movie credits would include quite a number of classics, among them Roman Holiday, 1953, Sabrina, 1954, Funny Face, 1957, Breakfast at Tiffany's, 1961, Charade, 1963, My Fair Lady, 1967, Wait Until Dark, 1967, Robin and Marian, 1976, and Always, 1989. She was married twice and had a partner for 13 years. The mother of two, she died from cancer on January 20th, 1993, at age 63. In her lifetime, she was very active in humanitarian efforts, particularly UNICEF. Nichelle Nichols. Nichelle Nichols helped break barriers on primetime television for blacks by playing Uhura on the original Star Trek. It's a role she would reprise on the 1973 to 1974 animated series and 6 motion pictures, beginning with 1979's Star Trek The Motion Picture and concluding with 1991's Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Beyond Trek, Nichelle worked with NASA for a time, helping with the recruitment of female astronauts. She recorded a pair of albums, has made a number of TV guest appearances, including providing her voice for shows like Futurama and The Simpsons, and appeared in such movies as Truck Turner, 1974, The Supernaturals, 1986, Snow Dogs, 2002, Renegades, 2016, and Unbelievable, 2020. She's written 2 books, her autobiography Beyond Uhura and Saturn's Child. She was married twice and has 1 child. Nichelle died of heart failure on July 30th, 2022 at the age of 89. Sharon Tate. Anyone seeing Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood undoubtedly came away with some knowledge of Sharon Tate, notably the fact that this rising star, as well as her unborn child and others in her home, was murdered by Charles Manson's followers on August 9th, 1969. Just horrible. Throughout the 1960s, Sharon was being heralded as a true presence in Hollywood, whose star was only getting brighter. She was born in Dallas, Texas on January 24, 1943. On television, she portrayed Janet Trigo in 15 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies between 1963 and 1965 and appeared on The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Mr. Ed. Her big screen credits include Barabbas, 1961, alongside Anthony Quinn, and Eye of the Devil, 1966. The goofy horror comedy The Fearless Vampire Killers arrived in 1967, which was significant for her in that the director was Roman Polanski. The two of them would fall in love, get married, and it was his child she was carrying at the time of her murder. Her remaining films were Valley of the Dolls, 1967, based on the novel by Jacqueline Suzanne, Dean Martin's spy spoof The Wrecking Crew, 1968, and The 13 Chairs released following her death. She was 26 years old.